Hey guys, and happy Monday. So we have a really exciting call tonight, which I will get right into. So make sure your coaches are on this call. If they're not on live, they're missing out, but make sure they watch the recording as well. So first up for recognition, we have our top 10 Success Club earners as of January 28th. So we still have 4 days, 3 tomorrow, to hit your non-negotiable. And guys, you guys can push yourselves out of your comfort zone. Don't just be in that, comfort zone of Success Club 6. See what else you guys are capable of, because you guys are capable of so much more. So for the Success Club leaderboard, with Success Club 52, we have Amy Rada. Success Club 38, we have Sammy Glonick and Carly Lindor. Success Club 30, Morgan Elliott. Success Club 28, Katie Roser. Success Club 26, myself, Taylor Ricker, and Megan Kelly. And then with Success Club 24, we have Lily Osborne and Amanda Heidenreich. So congratulations to all of you freaking rock star babes. If you guys hear a familiar face, make sure you shout them out in the chat because they're freaking amazing. Next up, we recognize our top recruiters. So these are who are adding coaches to their team. So they are building a team, they are building a business, they are growing their business, and all of the above. And every single one of these numbers that I'm about to just say are super impressive for this month. And like I said, there's still, 3 to 4 days left in the month. So with 23 new coaches added to her team is Amy Rada. 13 new coaches is Sammy Glonick and Morgan Elliott. 12 new coaches, Carly Lindor. 11 new coaches, myself and Casey Kretsch. 10 new coaches, Taylor Ricker. And then with 8 new coaches, we have Lily Osborne, Amanda Heidenreich, and Aliya Visscher. So you guys are all amazing, and congrats to all. So as I look for our guest speaker, I think I saw her over here on page 2. All right. Okay, so I have you unmuted. So I am very excited for tonight's team call. This is actually not a Star Diamond of mine. She is underneath my sister, underneath Alex Police, and she's Alex Police's personally sponsored Star Diamond coach. So she's a couple levels down from me, but she has been at, she's always on the leaderboard. She's always one of the top recruiters. So I was like, okay, she needs to freaking teach us what to do. So I'm really excited for this call, and I'm going to mute myself because nobody wants to hear from me anymore. Save your guys' questions for the end so that I can ask her those, because she's probably not going to be looking at the chat. So have a little spot to jot down, but get ready to take some notes. It's all you, girl.
Awesome. Thank you. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So honored to be on here. And it's so crazy. I'm talking about vision, and on my vision board for 2019 was to lead one of these calls, and 15 days into 2019, I got a message and I was like, holy, okay, let's do this. So I'm so excited for this call. This is going to be kind of structured a little bit differently. Talking about seeing and creating your vision, implementing everything that you can, that you're learning, and pushing past what you can call, what some might call excuses. I currently have a broken wrist right now, and that I'm going to talk about a little bit later, but just pushing past everything that is holding you back from the potential that you have, and from creating that vision that you really, really want. So I'm going to start again with my name. It's Aliya Visscher. I've been a coach for 15 months now. And I'm just kind of going to share my story and how I have pushed past all of these things that some might use as a setback. I'm not trying to say that my life is like super awful. There are obviously more awful things that could happen to me, but they have been things that could have really held me back and could have made me want to quit being a coach, but I pushed through them because I see like we see Jamie Innes becoming literally a 15-star diamond coach, and you see the potential of all these amazing coaches, and it's like, I want that, and I'm going to work really hard, and whatever comes at me, I'm just going to figure out how to get past that. So going from before coaching, I am a trained music therapist. I spent 5 years becoming a music therapist, and I actually overused my hands so much that I had to quit, which led me into a really, really deep depression. One of those ones where you just can't get out of bed, and I was just so upset with my life, and God puts people in your life for a reason. And literally the second, like even the month that I had to quit, I started following Alex. I'm not gonna cry, but she, like, God puts people in your life for a reason, and you need to figure out what that reason is. And so I started talking to her in March, literally when I had quit. And I was one of those annoying people who took 5 months to sign up. I'm so sorry. But also, this is a really big learning thing, is that for me, I never want to push people, because if I would have started at the time that I first started talking to her, it wouldn't have been my time. And that's, I think, something really awesome to learn, is that not everyone, like right when you want them to sign up, is going to sign up, and that's for a reason. I want people to be ready to sign up with me, and you should want people as well, because that's really what's going to make a really awesome challenger or a really awesome coach. So know that there's a time that they will come back, but right when you want them to, no expectations. And so I signed up for the discount in September of 2017, and I kind of took a month to figure out what the heck I was doing, whether I like these programs. I was one of those people who was like, I'm going to return this in 30 days because I like to lift heavy and this is at home, and that sounds really stupid, but it actually kicked my butt, which was awesome. And since day one of deciding that I was going to work this business, I've gone all in. And I probably have had one day where I haven't posted on social media, and that's because I had a really big depressive episode, and I still, like, I'm pretty sure I might have even posted that day, but I have shown up every single day, and it just shows that, like, as Jamie just said, consistency is 100% key. And for me, I always heard, like, be here a year from now, and I'm sure all of you have heard that as well. But I thought to myself, if I can go to school for 5 years, I didn't even get a degree technically out of it. If I can go to school for 5 years, I can give this a year, and maybe it'll be fun. Maybe I'll get healthy. I don't know what's going to happen, but I wrote that everywhere. I was like, Aliya, just like be here a year from now, see what happens. And obviously I'm here 15 months later, so it worked. Proof that everything happens for a reason. But at the beginning, I didn't know what I was doing. I was like so lost, but I knew that I wanted to do this so badly. So I watched every single training video possible. And that is why we have that. Like, there's so much info in Team Fight to Finish and Team Better for It once you become an Emerald. There's the Emeralds page. Like, utilize that. It's not just there to like sit around. Utilize that, learn from it, but then implement it. And I think that was a big game changer for me recently, was like taking all of that plethora of knowledge that I have up in here and actually implementing what I was learning. And I definitely scheduled so many one-to-one calls just as a baby coach. Like, do all of those things, implement everything. Your team calls, like, they're here for a reason. People put so much time and effort into these free trainings, so you might as well use them. And then at the beginning of my journey, I only got a couple of Success Club points, and I just kind of want to go back that everything that I'm sharing about my life, I'm not sharing because I want to brag or because I want to just like share like, oh my goodness, I got through this. I want you to be able to relate, because maybe you are in this season of your life that you kind of need to learn how to get through it, how to learn from it. And so at the beginning of my coaching career, I only got like a couple Success Club points. And I'm not one to get defeated very easily. So I knew that I was doing something right. Instead of me being like, oh no, I'm only at Success Club 2, it's like, oh, I got someone to sign up. How did I do that? I need to do that again. And so celebrating every single small victory, every single conversation that you have with someone, every single person who goes, hey, what are you doing? Or hey, what are you drinking? Like, that's an awesome, awesome success. Having someone who's interested in something that has completely changed your life is amazing. And then come December 2017, so this is 3 months into me coaching, I had to get surgery on my arm. So I was like, oh my goodness, I'm so worried about this business. And it was something that could potentially make my hands okay, and I could become a music therapist. But for some reason, I didn't want it to work because I wanted to be a coach so badly. And so I was obviously worried about my business, but this month that I had surgery on my arm was the first month that I ever hit Success Club, and the first month and that's when I became Emerald. And I could have used that surgery as an excuse, but I was like, you know what, I want this too badly. And I made it happen. I don't know how I made it happen, but somehow first month hitting Success Club, I got surgery on my arm, and I couldn't work out. Like, it was on a nerve. So even stretching my arm out like that, no can do. And so that leads me into kind of January of 2018. I was at this point where I had quit music therapy, didn't really have a job. I didn't know what the heck I wanted, except for I knew that I wanted diamond. Like, I was like, this is a non-negotiable for me. I loved emerald for like a second, and then I was like, I'm over it. I want to be diamond now. And so I made a game plan. I worked so hard, and the thing is, this is what I've learned, is I worked too hard. I didn't work smart enough. I was doing like 120 reach outs a day, which for one overwhelmed me so bad because I hate the notifications. Like, I hate opening my thing and being like, you have 38 messages, and I'm like, oh man. So that was overwhelming for me. So figuring out how to work smarter is definitely key, especially when you're pushing for diamond and you're kind of just like getting in your groove of like what you do as a coach. And so I also had to adjust my recruiting tactics. And I think the big thing for this was starting to act like the coach that I really wanted to be. It's going to sound super creepy, but I woke up every single morning and I would watch Jamie's story. And that's because her life is literally what I want my life to be like. I have said from like age 14, I want to be a stay-at-home mom, 100%. And I would watch her stories, not in a comparative way. I would do it in like a, hey, this is motivational, this is what I want. And it's like, it's so crazy when someone's life is like what your vision is, like what you want your life to be like. So definitely when you are following other coaches, don't do it to compare where you're at or compare your Instagrams. Like, do it as a way to like encourage people or encourage yourself, because that's what I love most about this business, is that it is cooperative, it's not competitive. And so make sure when you're following people, you're doing it for the right reasons. And so I was kind of in this stage where I didn't have a job. I knew I wanted diamonds, but I also needed money, which is crazy. Money is a thing in this world. And so I ended up moving cities. I also had to get away from a really harmful relationship. So I moved 2 hours away, and this is like the hardest but best season of my business coming up here. I moved in March, so a year after Alex and I started talking. And I became a nanny. So this was, I can't even, you moms are like incredible. I nannied for 11 hours a day for a 4-year-old and twin 1-year-olds. And so I was dead, but I knew that I couldn't do coaching while I was there just because of that age. Like I like have PTSD looking back on it, but I was like, I need this business to work for me. So I got up at 4 a.m. every single day. I worked from 4 to 6 on coaching. Then I would nanny from 7 to 6. I would get home and I would do more coaching. And I was a zombie. I didn't have a social life. But the things that you do for your business, every single sacrifice that you make is going to get you one step further. And so every single morning, my alarm would go off at 4 a.m. I would ask, is it worth it? And every single morning, if my vision is big enough, if it's detailed enough, the answer is always yes. And you need to make sure that your answer is always yes. And if it's not putting you towards where you want to be, the answer is no. There's a yes or a no. There's no maybes in this business. There's maybe I'm going to be emerald, maybe I'm going to be diamond. There's no maybes. It's yes or no. And you make that decision and you make those sacrifices yourself. And so I did it because I had to, and I created a plan. I stuck to that schedule for literally 4 months. I, again, did not have a social life. Thank goodness. That was lift 4 time around there. And so I had a flexible schedule. That program also changed my life completely, which is amazing. But I could just see the vision and I saw the potential in this business. And so I started building my mom at this time too. She's on one of my legs, and I knew I wanted diamonds so badly, but I only had one working coach. And I'm the type of person who I need to make it happen now. And if I have to do it myself, I will do it. And so I slowly started building my mom, which I would recommend, but also focus on your business first, because I kind of got into some issues later on. But I built my mom to emerald. She was like the last piece that I needed. And this was in May. So I went from emerald in December, about 5 months, to June, sorry. I hit diamonds in 5 months, and I made it myself. And that was amazing for me. I felt really great, and I became diamond. I celebrated for a day, and then I was like, oh, okay, I'm over it. I want 1 star now. which is an awesome mentality to have if it's going to push you in the right direction. And I think it did. And so I kind of continued on with that, building under my mom slowly. I would get myself to Success Club 10 for sure, and I would kind of analyze who was going to be a working coach, who was not going to be, and I would keep, obviously, the working coaches under me, and then I would put 1 or 2 people under my mom, slowly but surely. And then kind of September, this is another transitional stage in my life. September came, and my lease on my apartment was ending, and I was like, do I even want to be here? And at that point in my life, I had a bunch of toxic people that I did not need, and it was hard because Beachbody was the reason that these people were kind of turning against me. But I want you to know that when people come at you and give you those judgments and all of that kind of stuff, it has nothing to do with you, and it 100% is an insecurity within themselves. It's coming from them, and it's hard to let go. It's hard to let go of friends, but it's because you're leveling up and they don't get to come to that next level with you. And that's actually, so, like, it gives me goosebumps to think about that, because you don't need those people in your life. And it's amazing that something that you love so much that has changed your life is making you realize that you don't need them in your life. Like, that's such an exciting thing to me, even though, like, it's kind of a weird situation. But at this point in my life, I decided again to move. I move a lot. And so I moved back home, and I was like, hey, like, my nannying income has been replaced. I am going to do coaching full time. And I was hesitant. Alex can, like, preach about this so much. I was like, I don't know if this is what I want to do. Maybe I should get a side job. But she was like, Aliya, like, you have a vision so big, and you need to just go for it. And like 1 to 2 weeks into being full time, I magically hit 1 star. And I was like, how did this happen? It was like, one of my coaches was on the way home. She was like, hey, I just sent out a share card. And I was like, did you send it as a discount coach? And she was like, oh yeah, I guess I could do that. And I was like, yeah, because then we go into 1-star quals. Like, what are you doing? We can do this. You're going to be Emerald. This is amazing. And it was like just the most unexpected thing. And that's from slowly building underneath my mom. And that's because I knew I wanted 1 star so bad. I wanted to be at New Leader Conference next week. Like, I needed that so badly. And when I went full time, I was obviously hesitant about the income. And so I knew I had to increase my Success Club numbers. So that's what I did. I increased my inviting. I channeled, that's not the word, focused my my captions and my photos to always relating to coaching, how coaching has changed my life, how I can drop everything at a hat to be with my family because I don't have a part-time job on the side. Like, I kind of just changed everything into that focus of like, I need to increase what I'm doing 100%. And so my Success Club numbers increased. I was hitting like 12 and above since that point on, and it felt amazing. And that's what happens when you work really hard and focus on your weaknesses and make them your strengths. And so I just encourage you to invite more, like invite all the time, at least 20 a day. And then the next season of my life, come this December, I had an amazing call with Steve, and it kind of made me realize that I really wanted elite. And I thought about, hey, I could sign up this person and build under them, but I realized that I really needed to become a leader. And this was a really hard thing for me to learn because I am a control freak, and I want to be able to make 7 diamonds myself. But I also need a team, and elite is an amazing thing, but it shows that you are a leader and that your team is amazing. And that's what I want. I was talking to Alex about this the other day, and I was like, I never really understood the like big sister or like mama coach feeling, but like when your coaches start to succeed, it is freaking amazing and it feels so good. And I want my team to be elite, but I want all my coaches to be elite. I want everyone to be like a top coach with me. We can do it together. But anyways, I had that call, and I had to focus on being a leader. And so I had worked so hard on building my mom that I was like, I don't really know how to do this. And so that is something I'm still kind of transitioning into being a leader. I think a lot of us, or we all have some sort of leader characteristics within us, but it's figuring out how to bring those out in the best way possible that match up with your coaches. That is really, really huge. And I also had to kind of realize am I in this business for rank, or am I in this business for income? And yes, they do come hand in hand. As much as I want elite, I want elite because I want that income for myself so I can be able to contribute to a family one day, or to pay off all of my student loans. And so I think that's kind of something that a lot of people need to figure out, is, are you just in this for like the glory? Or are you in it for everything? And then this kind of leads me to my last season of my life, where I broke my wrist. So I woke up on Christmas Day and my wrist was broken. It kind of was a slow break. Actually, it happened in 80 Day Obsession. I was doing those darn inchworms and my wrist flicked out. So my wrist has been hurting since March of 2018, which is insane. And this was kind of a blessing to me because I didn't have to take time off work. I'm a full-time coach. So that's a really big perk, is like, I didn't have to take time off work. I'm still getting paid. But I had that question of like, hey, is my business going to suffer again? And for me, it could have been such a huge setback. But I'm kind of trying to learn from it that I think I was getting too comfortable in my business, too comfortable in the way that I was inviting people, the way that I was talking to people. And so this season of life is teaching me how to just adapt and change my approaches, which is hard, especially when you think that you're really comfortable in this business. Something's going to change. The algorithm's going to change. Maybe Instagram decides to stop doing stories one day. Like, you never know. So you have to be ready for all of those changes that are going to happen. And you also need to know that, like, there is not one right way to inspire people. There is no right way to run this business. And I think that's huge. I think that's an amazing gift, is that what might work for one person might not work for the next. And that's exciting, because then you get to add your little characteristics, or your little things, your little quirks, your little fun activities that you want to do, because you can run this business however you want to. What happens next? Sorry, my notes are just like all over the place. And so this is leading into January, the month that we are currently in. And obviously I was really, really scared for Success Club, because I was like, I'm technically not doing a workout program. I'm like sometimes doing turbo fire, sometimes, I don't know, literally I hate cardio so much. I'm so over it. But I just had to make it work, and I had to show people that, like, I'm still going to show up if I have a wrist injury, and I want you to know that I'm going to show up for you as well. And so that's kind of how I tailored all of my posts to that. And I was so scared, but then the second day of January, I was at Success Club 12 with 6 coaches, and I was like, holy moly, how did I do that? And I think that's because I knew that this setback was going to be really hard for me. And so I had to kind of bust my butt, and I wish that I had that mentality all the time. I wish that's the way that I felt with every single new month, with every single new week, is like, this is like my last week to do this. Like, I know it's been said before, but like, treat the beginning of the month like it's the last of the month. Like, hit Success Club the first day of the month, not the last day of the month. Don't do that to yourself, because it sucks. And I shocked myself. Honestly, I was just like, okay, cool, we are here. But I can't remember, I just heard someone talking about it, but once you get to Success Club, don't stop there. Like, keep going to the end of the month. Do not stop, ever. And so, kind of a recap, things that I've learned in this business, there are so many seasons, and each of them is there to inspire and to teach you something. Your vision is literally the only priority in this business. This business is really not that hard. What we do as coaches is not like that hard. It's not hard to talk to people, but it is a lot of work, and it does take time. So knowing that and having your vision is going to get you through all of those days, the slight edge, the compound effect, all of those things. Be here a year from now is basically that. And life happens, but I don't want you to let that be your excuse. I want that to be your reason. And be okay with whatever season your business is in. Like, if you're putting in the work, just be okay with everything. Don't get anxious. This is something that I'm still working on. I always want the next thing, but like, be okay and celebrate all of the things that are going on in your business right now. And if you're working, everything else will fall into place. And I've had so many setbacks in this business. I started coaching while I was depressed. I've had surgery. I've had a cast, but like I said, these are not my excuses. They're my reasons. And maybe because my vision is just so big that these things, I'm not just like brushing them off like, oh, there's life shitting on me again, like no big deal. But it's like, I want this so bad. And so everything is there to teach you, and you need to grow from that. And that's all I have to say. My throat is so dry.
So good. If you guys have any questions, drop them in the chat right now so I can read them off. So obviously, I mean, what you're doing is working, and you work really hard. And I think when you said that you were a nanny for I think it was like a 4-year-old and 1-year-old twins or something, I was like, okay, you're amazing. That would be so insane. But it's like, you know, you said you're like, I just worked my business from 4 to 6 a.m. Like, you know, I think a couple girls had said like, wow, I wish I had that drive, but I don't think that's something that we're just born with. You know, you had to say, I'm going to be super busy with 3 kids who fully rely on me, or whatever the situation is, not just kids, but pets or a job or whatever. And it's like, you guys have to make yourselves want that yourselves. You have to make yourselves do that. And I think that's the hardest part. You know, that's what really makes everybody kind of bridge that gap from either being like a coach who's kind of playing around with the business to being a full-on business builder. Like your reason has to be bigger than your want, than, you know, all of this. Like, you can't just want it. You have to do it. And every day you take steps for that. I thought that was just really good. Could you post the link to the TF? Oh, just kidding. I can post that. TFTF Facebook group. Carrie, are you asking for Team Fight to Finish Family? Okay, what is your invite process?
Invite process. I like what I do. Okay. For inviting, I like to go through all my followers and people that I've talked to, but I honestly am really straight up when I invite people. If they've been following along with me, or they've been like watching my stories, I straight up call them out on it. And I'm like, hey, thanks so much for creeping on my Instagram stories. Glad you like my humor. I have a boot camp coming up. Would you be open to hearing the details? If not, no worries. And I always give them kind of a cop out, because I find I get a lot more responses with that. And to the opportunity, like, I'm just honest with people. Hey, I've been creeping your page for a while. I feel like you'd be really amazing at what I do. Would you be open to hearing the details? And I always say, would you be open? Because that kind of, people like to be considered open instead of being like, would you be interested in? Because they already know what they're interested in, but people want to be considered open. So I hope that answers your question.
So I'm going to ask a question. What does your like dream coach look like now compared to when you first signed up? Like who is your girl? What is she like?
Honestly, whenever I tailor my posts, I tailor them towards myself before I started coaching, because I am literally looking for like my duplicate. I'm not saying this in like an egotistical way, but I work really hard, and that's exactly what I want. I want someone who's going to push past those excuses, who's really excited about the opportunity. I don't want it to feel like it's like a hassle, and I don't think I've ever really felt like this has been a hassle ever in the 15 months that I've been doing this. And so, yeah, just like that.
Love that. With inviting, do you ever do cold invites? I have followers that don't use Insta Story, but I know they're active. Do you just open a random conversation, or do you just find other people?
I think that depends. I mean, if they've been liking all of my stuff, maybe they're not on stories, but they've been liking all of my posts, I'll just be like, hey girl, thanks so much for all the love on my posts. I know you've been watching me for a while or following along with my journey. Would you be open to hearing about the programs that I've been following, or that kind of stuff? Sometimes I will set up a conversation, depending on if they kind of look like a coach prospect, because I want to have a relationship with them before I do that invite, just because I want to get to know them if they're going to be a good fit for my team.
So what would you say kind of is your biggest shift that you made from starting in the beginning to hitting some successful points to just being like full on successful 10 plus, and, you know, changing your mentality to being like, okay, I already hit success club, now I can chill, to I'm going to keep working the rest of the month? Like, what was that big change for you?
I think it was a gradual, and I don't think it was something big, but I also was watching like Sammy and Alex and their growth, and I think Alex being really open and honest with how her progression kind of went with her business, and her constantly being like, we're on the same track, Aliya, like, you've got this, and that was just like having the vision there of like what this could be. And so something, I don't know when it was, I don't know what it was, but just like clicked in me. And I think also just developing your confidence as a coach, like that takes so much time, but once you get that, it's like so amazing to be like, I know what the frick I'm doing now. Like I can just keep inviting people. Also not being scared. I think a big thing for me was inviting all my Facebook friends. I just sat down, and I know Haley Christensen used to say this, but she was like, don't be a bitch, just hit send. And that's what I would do. Literally every single invite, I would just be like, okay, send. And if I didn't get a response back, cool. If they unfriended me, cool. But changing your mindset to just be like, like you can't say the wrong thing to the right person.
What is your favorite personal development book?
Ooh. I liked Girl Wash Your Face a lot. I'm reading one right now called Do Cool Shit. And it's really cool. But honestly, Girl Wash Your Face can always get me into the right spot.
What tips do you have for someone pushing for Success Club with 3 days left in the month?
Oh gosh, go through all your Facebook friends. Seriously, all of them. Like I had like 600 friends. That was scary. Go through every single one of your followers, because they're following you for a reason. Just invite them, but be genuine about your invite. Don't make it like salesy or anything. I just always invite from like, hey, this thing has changed my life and I really think you would love it. Do you want to chat about it some more?
What's your biggest tip for a new coach getting started?
Just like go dive in, like don't half-ass anything. I don't know why you wouldn't just like go all in from the beginning, but figure things out. Like if you don't understand something, like ask as many questions as you can. There's so many trainings. Oh my goodness, so many trainings. And just start, like fail forward, I think is basically like the summary of what I would say. But yeah, go all in from the beginning, like start inviting. Also have a tracker system, because that took me a long time to get down.
I have people interested in coaching, but when I check back, they still don't have the money. Is there a way to go about that in a friendly way and not pushy? What have you done that has worked?
For the money thing, I actually heard this, I think it was today, but yeah, just be understanding 100%. I'm sure all of us when we started were hesitant about that money thing, but the fact that coaching is something that can provide you income, just be like, hey, do you have 3 friends that can do it with you? That basically pays for your challenge back right there. Also, I know Jamie does this, like, hey, can you set aside $20 a week? I'll check in with you every single week. And even just relating to them, like I had $160 left on my credit card. That's all I had. And so I get it, but just being so authentic and that you know it's going to change their life, I think that's a really big thing.
I don't have as many Instagram followers, and the more I add people to start the invites I follow more than follow me. What is your input on this?
I think my Instagram following grew when I did more reach outs. I think invites are really, really awesome, but you need to have people to invite. So I would up the reach out game. Like when I think in January to, I want to say June, I gained 1,000 followers. And that's literally just from reaching out as much as possible.
I love that. And that takes hard work. You know, that takes a lot of consistency, but it's obviously worth it. And then we have one more question for you. So she'd asked, with invites after the what to chat about more, what info do you give that's helpful and information, but not to word vomit all of the info?
So for me personally, I make sure I have something to invite them to. Because I don't want to word vomit all over them. And if I don't have something to invite them to, I set up a one-to-one call. I do it in a voice message or like a video message. I've thought about making like a little YouTube video that I can send them to, or maybe making a little small sneak peek in my highlights for them to watch. But I rarely will give them information written down because it's so easy. Just add like 17 extra words that you really don't need. So have something to invite to, like do coach previews. I've been doing them weekly for the past month.
Love that. So I'm going to add in just one more question. Do you only reach out to people that don't follow you yet?
This is something I've changed in the past few months, is I've started following people who are private and writing their names down, because that means that a lot of other coaches probably haven't reached out to them. And so I do reach out to people who are public, but I started following people who are private, and then if they follow me back, I'll give them like a reach out. Hopefully that answers your question.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for being our guest speaker tonight, girl. You were so good. And for those of you guys that your coaches weren't on live, bummer for them, but also the recording will be up tomorrow. So it'll be up in Team Fit to Finish family. And also, if you guys are asking about that, make sure your coaches add you to it. And then it also goes up to my YouTube as well if you need to share it with your teams. But thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for hopping on. And I hope you guys are having a great rest of your Monday. And talk to y'all soon. Bye, guys.